Continuing with rule number 6, we've talked about these in class, and these are really my favorite ways for you to add description. These are the appositives. An appositive is a noun that usually has some modifiers. That's the point of making an appositive. It's to add description. So you usually want a noun with modifiers that identifies or renames the noun that it follows. So you're really in writing looking for a noun with a comma right after it and a descriptive phrase. So my example sentence, Mrs. Culleton has arachnophobia, comma, an irrational fear of spiders, comma, and needs to seek professional help. I have a comma here because it's following a noun, and in case you didn't know what arachnophobia is, I give you an explanation of it with another noun here, fear. Arachnophobia is a fear, an irrational fear of spiders. When you start the appositive phrase, you put a comma, and so my proof is here, but I see another comma over here, and really the reasoning is the same. It's the ending of the appositive. Just like prepositional phrases and dependent clauses and infinitives, we can take them out of the sentence and read it. Mrs. Culleton has arachnophobia and needs to seek professional help. But if you didn't know what arachnophobia was, or maybe you just wanted to add some variety to your writing, and a positive is a great way to do that. The important thing to remember about appositives is that they both have to have a noun in them. You have a noun with a comma, and then somewhere within that phrase is a noun that renames what arachnophobia is. It's a fear. Okay, you're going to write your example sentence now for an appositive. An easy way might be to use maybe your pet, or a brother or sister to give a name. I could say Mrs. Culleton, comma, the 7B language arts teacher, comma, has arachnophobia. So it can be after any noun in a sentence that you write. Rule number 7 looks at direct address, and this is where we were talking about before. We said it as address. Now we're talking about an address. To directly address a person is to talk to them. When you're talking to a person, you want to put the commas around the person's name who's being spoken directly to. So let's look at an example. Mrs. Culleton, have you always been this afraid of spiders? If somebody were talking directly to me, they could introduce me with my name so I know who they're speaking to. If there were several people around, they would directly address me. So when we talk to a person, again, we could take that out and we could just say, have you always been this afraid of spiders? But if there was a group of people there, I wouldn't know who was being spoken to. So here's my name, here's my comma, I need a proof. Why do I put a comma there? Because it's a direct address. Sometimes that direct address comes in the middle of the sentence. I had a nightmare, Martha, that started my fear. That tells who I'm responding to. I could take it out. I had a nightmare that started my fear. But I'm telling which person I'm speaking directly to. I have to separate it by a comma. And because it's in the middle of the sentence this time, I need 2 commas. So because I have 2 commas, I need 2 proofs. The reasoning that it's there is the same. So I have a direct address here, and then another direct address here. Rule number 8 is probably the only new one to 7th grade, and that is talking about a coordinate adjective. We've talked about coordinating conjunctions before. They join things together, but in this case, we're not going to have that conjunction and, but, or. We're just talking about 2 adjectives that go together, and actually we don't use a conjunction. We want to use a comma. So we have to be using 2 adjectives describing the same noun, and they have to be kind of equal. So we have 2 tests here that we can go through to check to see if they're kind of equal. My sentence says, the happy, lively spider quickly chased Mrs. Culleton around the room. I have a comma here. Happy describes the spider, and lively describes the spider. Just because I have 2 adjectives doesn't always mean that I'm going to use a comma. So let's test the first one. Place the word and between the adjectives. The happy and lively spider quickly chased Mrs. Culleton around the room. That makes sense the way it's written, so instead of saying happy and lively, I could take out that coordinating conjunction and just put in a comma. Another way to check it, test number 2, is reverse the order. I could say the lively, happy spider quickly chased Mrs. Culleton around the room. That still makes sense. I could put it either way, and so instead of using a comma, or instead of using a conjunction, I can put a comma between them. A sentence that would not work, I might say the large black spider quickly chased Mrs. Culleton around the room. I wouldn't say the black large spider chased Mrs. Culleton around the room. The way that those adjectives go together don't make sense in that way. So in that case, I would not want to put a comma between them. Okay, and we'll do some more practice as we look at these, and it's a little bit trickier to find out, but if you just get used to using these 2 rules, and remember that you can always take out your interactive notebook and look back at these things. These are there to help you. So if you're not sure, we have 2 little tests that you can try.